Toss to White. He's in! Patriots win the Super Bowl!
Welcome to Patriots Touchback Podcast.
Good evening and welcome to Season 3, Episode 8 of the Patriots Touchback Podcast. I'm your host for tonight, Nick. With me today, I have Kieran and I have DJ. How are we, gents?
Very well, thank you.
All good, thank you, mate.
Excellent. What we've got for you today is Kieran has gladly, happily, with no complaints, put together a full 53-man roster out of the 90 roster training camp squad. And we're going to go through that. What names we think will make it, what names are not going to make it. I'm quite interested to see the wide receivers that Kieran's picked and how many, but we'll get there. Firstly, smash the like button, subscribe if you haven't already done so, follow us on all our social media platforms. Kieran controls our X, you've got me on Facebook, Joe is our Instagram guy, and you can catch us all over everywhere, and we're all interacting on social media. So if you've got anything you want to discuss, complain about, whatever, that's where you find us. Big thank you to the AAW Network for continuing to host us. Thank you very much, Fletch. We will be here all season, and hopefully now that football is back, we can say it. Football is back, guys. Training camp is starting. It's another run to February. So let's get on with it. News out of Foxborough. Forged in Foxborough Part 2 came out this week. I must confess I've only finally just watched Part 1. It's very good. Right? What you guys were saying about 3 weeks ago about it, raving about it. Yeah, I fully agree now. I can finally fully agree and say, yeah, I fully agree. It's absolutely fantastic. Love the passion. So, have any of you seen episode 2 yet? Because I haven't.
Yeah,
I did. I fell asleep.
That's not a great selling point, DJ. We're supposed to be selling it.
When you said that, I wasn't sure whether you were saying it was a boring episode or whether you were just genuinely watched it late and fell asleep.
I think it was a bit of both. I just get I don't know. I'm Mr. Negative, and I just think they've got a camera stuck in their face, so they're obviously gonna say what people want to hear, and ultimately that's probably the way it is. It's a different thing when it's like closed doors, no cameras, to versus you got a camera in the room.
But it's an in-house camera. It's not. It's very different.
Still,
it's not. It's not like it's not like Hard Knocks or whatever.
Yeah.
It's an in-house. It's an in-house production. So nothing that you see, the Patriots don't want you to see.
Yeah.
So that's ultimately where the control, being in-house, they control the entire. They control the narrative. They control what you see. And if there's anything questionable, they're not gonna put it in. Any news? I know that DJ, you had one on Diggs.
Yeah, it was just like I say, we day one of training camps obviously happened yesterday. I think they reported today was their first open practice, and I don't think no players were mentioned on the POP list, so that means Diggs is ready to go. He's obviously not had any setback on his ACL, and the recovery seems to be going as per plan. Would we see him in weeks 1 to 4? But that's, I guess, up to still to be decided. But so far so good. It looks like he's on full course for a full recovery. That's the only kind of like noticeable piece of news that we kind of have.
I think news will start ramping up over the next week or two as more and more starts to happen.
A couple of retirements outside of our organisation. I don't know why they just tend to wait until training camp? Because is that a common thing where you just say, I'm not going
to...
I don't know. Like Badger.
I don't know. I mean,
retired.
I apply it to my thought in that I think some players genuinely are in tune when the season finishes and they need the rest. So they all go away and they have their rest. And they come back to mandatory mini camps thinking, right, we'll go for it. And that's when they really know, because that's when they decide whether they're actually in it or not, whether they're going to be in it for another year or not. And I think that's when they probably make their decision. Because I remember Devon McCourty was saying on PFT, he was saying that he went away and he genuinely didn't know whether he was going to come back. And he came back to mandatory minicamp and he loved it. And he said, yeah, I'm going to play another year. And then no sooner had training camp started, he was like, no, I'm not interested. No. And he bailed and he quit. So I think, that probably happens to quite a few players. I don't know.
I don't know if it was a money side of things.
There might be some players that have financial incentives tied to if you turn up to mandatory minicamp, then that's, I don't know, 100,000. If you do all 3 days of mandatory minicamp, you get $100,000 bonus. Well, you're not gonna throw that bonus away, are you? So, if you retire 6 weeks later, you might have to give some of the bonus back. But
who retired? I know it was Honey Badger. I know
Lorenzo
Carter. He's just
if I was going to play for the Saints this year, I'd retire and all. Because being like Tyrann Mathieu's age, what is he, 33? Like he's played on some good teams in the past. Great
Super Bowl winner.
Like, why would you want to, if you're umming and ahhing about retirement, why would you want to put yourself through a season where you're going to be the worst team in the league? So, just, take the money and run.
Yeah.
Jimmy Graham, I think, was another one, but he was away from the game.
He didn't play last year. He didn't have a team. He didn't have a team last year. So he wasn't in the NFL. Yeah.
Did you see that this week about Philip Rivers? Like he basically signed a one-day contract with the Chargers like 3 years after last playing and then retired as a Charger.
Yeah. Because I think, that's the thing. Philip Rivers had money tied up in his contract. In that when wasn't the Chargers? Who did he last play for?
Colts.
Chargers.
Was it the Colts?
Yeah, Colts.
Titans, Colts, somebody. Whoever he last played for, I think it was the Colts. He had money tied up in his contract that if they cut him and he didn't find a new team, they had to pay him so much money per year for the next 3 years. But if he retired, he wouldn't get that money. So he's been working as a high school coach. But because he officially hasn't retired, the Colts have had to continue paying him the fee that they've had to pay. It's not a monstrous amount, but it's enough to be, officially I haven't retired, and I can just collect a little bit more money and supplement my income. With 11 kids, I'm not surprised he needs to supplement his income. That's probably why he wants to be a high school coach, because he can get out of the house. Right, let's move on. Let's move on to our main topic. As we've said, preseason training camp has started. Players were back and they've done all their medicals and what have you, and they are on the field for the first time today, Tuesday, as we are streaming live. So what we thought we'd do, Kieran's gladly put together a 53-man roster. So, Kieran, I am going to turn it over to you. This is your show, baby.
Well, thank you very much.
Just before Kieran goes on, if you haven't already going back to news. If you haven't already watched, go back, listen to Vabel's first press conference.
Yeah,
Is this when he
Makes a
outs
crack
Ben
of a
Volen?
joke.
Brilliant.
He makes a crack of a joke to one of the reporters where he's just literally just explained the whole scenario or a question or whatever, and the guy goes and repeats the same question again, and he's like, "Have you like been in a coma for the last 5 minutes or something?" It's just wild the way he comes out.
good
Of
old
it. It was
Boston
fun.
media. Eh?
I'm not surprised it was Ben Volen that was the man doing that, because that bloke is
I think it was Ben. Yeah.
But I'm not going to repeat that handover. Kieran, it's all yours.
No, that's right. Sorry. Yeah, go on.
Okay, so it seems like, so we're getting to the time of year now where everyone's going to try and project the 53-man roster. Seen a couple of people do it already. I saw Mike Reese's this morning, which is quite interesting. Some of the players that he had included on his, he went for a lot of the UDFAs, which was very surprising. But so we'll go through by position group, and then I've got a list of names at the end of those that could or could not, or may or may not make the team. Those that wouldn't be shocking if they did make it, but also wouldn't be shocking if they were released too. So I think quarterback is pretty self-explanatory. I think we're expecting Drake May and Josh Dobbs to be the two on the roster. I don't think this, whatever his name, Ben Waldridge, is it? The
Ben
third
Waldridge.
string from Louisiana Tech.
Yeah.
I can't see him being on the 53. Like, as things stand, like, I only have 2 QBs on the roster, but I wouldn't be surprised if another veteran comes in at some point to be the third
Do
string.
we have to have 3? Is that the new rule now where we have to have?
With that rule where they can be like inactive but come in a medical situation, I think most teams are now carrying one, but you wouldn't want to do that with a UDFA third string, I wouldn't have thought. So until we get more clarity on whether a new QB is coming in, then I'm just going to run with those 2 on the roster for now. So that's self-explanatory. We don't really need to touch on that. Same with the running backs. I've only got us carrying 3: Antonio Gibson, Travion Henderson, and Ramondre Stevenson. Obviously we've got a couple more on the roster as it stands, but I think realistically you're in really good shape with these 3. I don't think you need to carry another one. I mean, there'll be one on the practice squad, I would have thought, but I don't see anyone playing over these 3, and I wouldn't see a reason in carrying 4 when you've got those 3 ahead of them. So any thoughts on that, guys?
I'd like to see Lan Larison at least get a practice squad berth. I don't think you're going to carry more than 3 running backs. I agree there. So I think if you are looking at a 4th running back, he's going to be a practice squad one. I just think for the effort he's put in and the what he's done over mandatory mini camp and the few bits that I've the highlights you've seen and little bits that you've been able to get your hands on, he does seem to be going through the steps and making headway. He's not like tearing trees up or anything, but I think he could be a very good 4th choice running back for when we have an injury or something.
Yeah. Okay, so moving on, and I have a fullback on the roster because we know that Josh McDaniels is going to want to run with a fullback. I think Vrabel will be of a similar mindset. So the rookie undrafted free agent out of Northern Illinois, Brock Lampy, I have him on the roster. If they're going to carry a fullback, it's going to be Brock Lampy, and I think he's already running with the first team offense in mandatory minicamp and the OTAs. So we'll see obviously what happens with that as to whether he gets more run with the ones in training camp. But I think as things stand, that's your fullback.
If we do take that fullback, I think that takes up because I had them going down as having 4 running backs, but because of this fullback, I do believe there will be 3 running backs and this fullback with the option of using on practice squad.
Yeah.
Moving on to wide receivers, and this is probably the most subjective and debatable group of the lot, to be fair. I went around in circles on this one, but I've gone with the 6 that I think they will keep. So I've got Keyshawn Boutte, Stephon Diggs, Demario Douglas, Mac Hollins, Jalen Polk, and Kyle Williams. I have Bourne being cut just based on the fact that I don't think they're going to want to carry 3 receivers over 30, regardless of his fit in the system and his locker room presence. I don't think they're going to want to give up on Polk after 1 year either, especially with how highly he was drafted. So I've got him making the team over Bourne, but if it went the other way, I wouldn't be surprised.
See, I've got Diggs, Kyle Williams, Demario Douglas, Matt Collins. I am going to make a space for Efton Chisholm. I do not care who I have to sacrifice. So if Efton Chisholm takes a spot and I'm only carrying 6, then that leaves 1 spot for Polk, Boutte, Bourne, Baker, and like you said, if you're going to say Polk is the one based on what it is, then that means Boutte, Bourne, and Baker all miss out. Now, I haven't been impressed with Baker at all. He really has not done anything for me to show that he's worth the value that we put in to him anyway. So I think when you look at the commitment we've made to Diggs and the fact that we signed Hollins in free agency, I think those 2 are the new guys that you're almost certain are going to carry spots. The way that we drafted Kyle Williams and how well he's been doing, he takes a spot. Demario, you're going to be ludicrous to cut Demario Douglas based on his performances. So that's almost another guaranteed spot. So you're then down to personal preference on those last 2. Like I said, I would make sure I've got the way I've seen Chisholm this summer. I would make sure I made a space for him. And if that means I can't keep Boutte, fair enough. If I have to put Baker on the practice squad because you need a spare wide receiver, fair enough. I don't think Boutte or Baker or anybody's going to pick up a contract somewhere else. It's not like, they're not going to make it through waivers. I don't think any of these players are going to get picked up elsewhere. So, you might be able to get Boutte on
I think
Boutte
if he got released to get a contract.
I would like to carry Chisholm in that 6.
Okay. Moving on to tight end, Hunter Henry, Austin Hooper. That goes without saying. I've got undrafted free agent from Alabama, CJ Dipree, making the roster. Obviously, it's a kind of a 4-way battle between him, Jack Westover, G. Scott, and Jaheim Bell, who we drafted last year. But just based on his athletic attributes, like the size, the athleticism, the speed, and kind of like his all-round skill set, just feel like he's probably the most natural fit as a third-string tight end. He's a good blocker. He's kind of like a mobile blocking tight end that can do a bit in the passing game. So I kind of think that's the style that we need as a third, with Hunter Henry and Austin Hooper being more receiving tight ends. So yeah, I've got Dipree making the roster.
I find us a bit weak in this position, to be honest. I think Hunter Henry had an immense season last year, but can he continue it? He's 30 years old. Hooper, it's hit and miss. I think we go for someone. I think we're going to pick up someone.
I think you've got the problem
after minicamp or
with tight end. I think you've got the problem is that tight end was that one position that suffered in the draft. In that we just didn't have enough picks to cover that many holes. I think when you look at the tight end quality, not so much right at the top when you had Mason Taylor and is it okay?
Warren.
I can't.
Warren and Loveland.
Loveland, yeah.
Warren, Loveland, Mason Taylor. They were all the sort of like big ones. Once you went into that sort of deeper, that 4th and 5th round, Gunnar Helm, for example, at Texas, I think if we'd had more picks, you might have seen us draft a tight end, but we had that many holes that we needed to fill in as a priority ahead of tight end. And even then, the Patriots were moving about, trying to, moving a few steps back just to create another spot here. And, well, we'll give you this pick this year, but you give us this pick next year, which is actually, a round better off. And so we were doing as much as we could to cover as many holes. That I just think tight end was that one where it was just one draft pick too many, in that we just couldn't cover all the holes. But I would have liked to have drafted a tight end, but there was I never had one in any of my sort of mocks, so I can't really complain that we didn't draft one. So I think the guys that Kieran's got, I'm good with
that. Finally, offensive line. I've got us carrying 10 linemen. I think we probably need to do that rather than 9 with our problems in the past. So I've got Bradbury, Campbell, Onwenu, obviously Moses and Strange, who are probably going to be the first 5. And then the backup linemen, I've got Lowe, Layden Robinson, Sidney So, Jared Wilson, and Caden Wallace. I hated keeping Vidarian Lowe, but I think he's more likely to make the roster than Marcus Bryant, the 7th round tackle we took this year. I think Layden Robinson and Sidney So are adequate to less than average NFL backup guards. Wilson's obviously your future center. And then with the right tackle situation, I don't think Jacobs is going to make the roster. Although there's been talk about Caden Wallace moving inside, I think he's more likely to be the backup right tackle than DeMontre Jacobs. So that's why I've got him. So they're my 10 linemen.
I think
Marcus Bryant, he was a rookie, didn't we draft him?
You're only going to carry 2 centers, aren't you? You're only going to carry 2 centers. You're not going to carry 3. So I assume Ben Brown is the center that misses out if you
that's
drafted
right.
Jared Wilson. So okay. So I'm all for that first depth, that first choice line. You've got Campbell, Strange, Bradbury, Onwenu, and Moses. I think Wallace is probably going to be the swing tackle. He's going to be that first reserve tackle, whether it's right or left. So it probably means if Wallace is going to swing, then it probably allows you to carry an extra guard. So you're talking, if you say Lowe, Robinson, Jack Conley, that's another 3. You're already almost at your number. So I think once you get down to that sort of end of the second string and a couple of spares, I think it's all about what happens in training camp, and one guy can win a roster spot over somebody else who has a bad game. And you've got the preseason games as well. It only takes one player to have a good preseason, play well in 3 games, play well in training, and he wins a roster spot, or he wins a roster spot on somebody else's line. So, I think, Conley was drafted late, as was Bryant. I kind of think, being as they are, they're probably guys that you're going to want to at least try and create a spot for, or at least one of them's going to end up on the practice squad.
Abel's been,
or both.
I think I've heard comments about Conley. He seems quite high on him, but like you say, he's a rookie from Boston College. I don't know what.
Yeah, a UDFA as well. So I don't know if he's got his chances, but I've just gone with obviously Layden Robinson was drafted in the 4th round last year. We took Sidney So in the 4th round, a couple of years ago. Lowe was the only one I didn't like keeping out of that lot, but I just don't see another option unless it's Marcus Bryant, the 7th round pick. But we haven't seen what he can do yet, so I think I'm just going to go with the more sensible backup. Okay, so that's offense completed. On to defense. So on the D line, I've got Barmore, Jeremiah Farms, Jaquelin Roy, Kairos Tonga, and Milton Williams, all of which defensive tackles. I think probably they're all probably going to. I think we've got a couple more, but I'd imagine that all 5 of them are likely to make it. Maybe that one might miss out. Maybe one of Farms or Roy might get cut, but I think both of them have had flashes in the past. I'd be sort of keen to see what they can do longer term as the rotational players. Oh, wow, I've got Josh Farmer on here. I've just made a mistake. Right, I'm cutting one of them off my list. Farms is out.
Joshua Farmer, Barmore, Tonga, and Williams. I've got as the 4.
Right, so just revising that because I completely forgot I'd missed Josh Farmer off this list. So Barmore, Farmer, Roy, Tonga, Williams. I'm cutting Farms.
That's it, yeah. 4. Yeah.
Farms was the last one I had on there. So
right. So my question with that
the thing is Roy.
Do you not carry 5 regarding Barmore's health?
I've got 5.
Sorry, I thought you said 4.
Yeah,
I thought you said
I think DJ had 4. Did you have 4, DJ?
Barmore, Williams, Farmer, Tonga,
Roy
and
Tonga.
Farms. Roy and
Roy.
Tonga.
Yeah, sorry, 5.
Yeah.
5. Yeah. I've got 5.
So, do you carry? Or all right, I'll rephrase. Do you carry a 6th in case of Barmore's health? Because we don't know, or do it? Okay. Do you put a defensive tackle on the practice squad just in case for Barmore's health?
Yeah,
you could do that.
I would probably put someone like, I don't know. There's a rookie here, but I've never heard of him.
Is that Ritzy?
Is it Ritzy?
You know, like you said, they might decide to put Roy. They might decide to put Roy on the practice squad and keep Farms. I don't know. I think again, the defensive side of the ball. That's Vrabel's forte. That's what he's gonna, he's gonna build that in himself, and so. Josh McDaniels will have far more creative control over the offense than Williams will have over his defense. I think Vrabel will probably pick and choose as well. But my only concern, Carrie, is I think you probably need a 6th on the practice squad because you just don't know how Barmore's health is going to be.
Yeah. So you could that could be Farms, as you said. It could be Aiton, who we picked up from the Colts. We've got Javari Ritzy, who's an undrafted free agent. Mm-hmm. Mike Reese actually had Ritzy making the roster on his one this morning. One of those guys could be your 6th on the practice squad, be an elevation, but I think you carry 5 on your active. Moving on to edge rushers, there's only 5 on there. I've got Caleb on Chason, Anthony Jennings, Harold Landry, Braden Swinson, and Keon White. I think, once again, that goes without saying. They're probably going to be the 5 edges we have on the team.
White, Landry, Swinson,
Chason and Jennings.
And Chason. I haven't got anything against that.
Yeah.
I think you'll probably find that White and Landry all carry the can, and they'll take the mountain load. And then Swinson you'll probably see Swinson do a lot of backing up because again, he's a rookie.
I'm not convinced on Landry.
What have you? So
he might be a good locker room guy and Vrabel's guy, but I think he's dropped off from where he was in Tennessee 2 years back.
I would say don't judge what's come out of Tennessee based on how bad Tennessee were behind the scenes.
Yeah, I think he's had a couple of injuries.
Vrabel left Tennessee, and it's not like they improved, is it?
From all accounts, Landry's looked good in minicamp and OTAs. Like, he looks back sharp again from some of the reporters that have said that have been there watching. So,
yeah. I mean, I'm not saying he's got another half decade left in the tank. He obviously hasn't, but he's going to form that key role of being the transition guy between the old guard and the new guard,
Yeah.
So I think you'll probably find him and White will have a lot of time on the gridiron, and Swinson will have to learn and get up to speed.
I think I agree. I think White and Landry will play the majority of the snaps. I think Jennings will be in on short yardage because he's a good edge setter and a good run defender. And then in obvious passing situations at like 3rd and long or whatever, Swinson and Chason have a lot of speed and juice off the edge. So I wonder whether you'll see them two rotate in on passing downs to try and just get after the passer in obvious passing situations. Moving on to linebacker, I've only got 4 off-ball linebackers. I've got Christian Ellis, Jack Gibbons, Robert Spillane, and Jelani Tavai. We have a couple of other guys on the roster like Monty Rice, and there's a couple of undrafted free agents, but I'd imagine these are going to be the 4 that are going to be your main off-ball linebackers.
What about Mappy?
Tavai's injured, isn't he?
Yeah, but Vrabel said today he's expected to return to practice this week, so that doesn't look
right.
like
Okay, I knew he was carrying an injury. I didn't know the seriousness and how long he was going to miss. It's one of those that I've seen nothing in the years to warrant keeping Mapu anyway. You know, he just has not.
Didn't they redshirt him for a year and then they tried to play him like in a free safety, which wasn't working out?
Yeah, he is unfortunately one of those Belichick picks that just you do not get why he was picked to start with.
Yeah.
So who did you go with again? Sorry, say that Ellis,
Gibbons, Spillane, Tavai.
Yeah, Gibbons. I've heard good things about him.
So I got no issue with that. I'm fully behind that.
Okay, moving on to corner. Obviously Christian Gonzalez, Carlton Davis, Marcus Jones, probably going to be the 3 starters. Alex Austin is your number 4. I think that's more than fine. I quite like Alex Austin. I struggled with the 5th one because I think this is where we probably lack a little bit of further depth down the line. But I went with Marcellus Dial over Isaiah Bolden because he plays a lot on special teams. And obviously we drafted him a couple of years ago in the 6th round. He'll be like your 5th corner. And I think he's got good size and length as well. So I think maybe he could be someone that plays on the outside in the emergency. But yeah, Dial over Bolden. They're the 5 I've got.
Yeah. I would say, I suppose you could carry 6 and take Bolden as well. The thing that I was looking for in the corner, yes, the Gonzalez's of this world are guarantees anyway, but you just said it there, Austin. For all the bad that we watched last year, Austin towards the end, that last sort of quarter of the season, he was playing really well. He was showing some real good positive signs that he could have a future. So I think, I'd really like to see him get a spot and hopefully progress and move up the roster. So I'm glad he makes your 5 or 6.
Okay, moving on to safety. I've got Duggar, Epps, Jabril Peppers, Del Pettis, and Craig Woodson, rookie out of Cal. Just the 5 safeties. Wouldn't totally be shocked if there's 6 in the end, but just obviously we can only have 53 on the roster. So I just think we'd roll with 5. I think you'll see Duggar and Peppers play more traditionally in the box. Craig Woodson is more of a traditional single high free safety. Same with Marcus Epps. Pettis can do a bit of everything. I think I'm going to go with those 5. I've got obviously Jalen Hawkins missing out, who played a fair bit last year. But yeah, they're the 5 I've got.
No Schooler.
Got him as a specialist. That's coming up now. Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, that was going to be my only argument. Can you make some room for Schooler? Because I think he needs a spot.
Yeah.
See, I wouldn't be thinking about trying to work out Hawkins and put him as that 5th CB if he's willing to transition from safety to cornerback. I don't know how. I thought Hawkins was decent, but I can't see you taking
Craig Woodson might play as a nickel this year, to be fair, with Marcus Jones. So if that's the plan, to play Woodson as a slot corner at time, then you could carry another safety.
Then you can bring your...
Yeah. So, yeah, I think I wouldn't, like I said, I've got Hawkins on my may or may not make the team list. Specialists, I've got Julian Ashby, the long snapper, rookie from Vanderbilt, I think he got drafted from. Bryce Barringer, the punter. Andy Borregales, the kicker. Brendan Schooler as obviously special team specialist. So, once again, I think that they all pretty much speak for themselves. I don't expect John Parker Romo to win the kicking battle. We drafted Borregales. He was one of the best kickers in college football. So I'd imagine he's going to be your kicker this year.
My only thing with Borregales, and I'm quite interested to... I mean, again, camp is not the place to see it, but the guy's been kicking in Miami. You know, it's not exactly tearing winds and snow and rain and everything else down there, is it? You know, he has not experienced kick, and it's not like you can simulate that either. You know, I know that they've got the dome. I know that they've got the indoor facility that almost like polythene dome sort of thing, but it's not like you can simulate sort of 50-mile-an-hour winds and snow in your face. So I'm quite in. It's all well and good saying, yeah, he was one of the best kickers in the in college. Yeah, for Miami though, I mean, it's not like he was part. But that being said, I do think he'll win the job. And Ashby's got no competition because we jettisoned Cardona, which I think was a financial decision. So yeah, you're probably right. They're the guys that get picked.
Yeah, I'm intrigued to see Borregales. I completely see your point with him as well. Like, you know, kicking in warm weather down on the South Coast and then not in conditions does seem like the type, though, I think that will work hard at this. I think he's already referenced like being surprised at sort of the conditions in minicamp, but he's been pretty accurate. If you look at his stats throughout OTAs and minicamp, like he's been pretty much on the money. And I know the weather hasn't got bad in Boston yet, but yeah, we'll just give him the benefit of the doubt because he's clearly a talented lad. Like, but I also think that the two highest rated or like highly projected kickers in this year's draft, him and Ryan Fitzgerald, they were both Florida based. So like, even if we'd have gone for the other one, we'd have had the same problem. So
where did the other one go?
I don't know where he went.
He came out of Florida State, Ryan.
He went to Florida State as a college. So we'll just see with them.
Drafted, no. It's like we say over here, Kieran. I mean, you know, we say it over here in our football. You know, can he do it on a cold Wednesday night in Stoke?
Yeah,
you know, that is the tale of a footballer. You know, it's all well and good playing it on the carpets of the Premier League pitches, but can he go and do it on a cold Wednesday night in Stoke? So if Borregales can do it on a cold Wednesday night in Boston, I'm good. I'm good with that.
Yeah. So then I have a list of players here on my may not make the team list. Like, as I said before, if these guys make the team, I wouldn't be surprised. Equally, if they got cut, I wouldn't be surprised either. So on this list, I have Isaiah Bolden, Kendrick Bourne, Nick's boy, Efton Chisholm. I just didn't have him on the roster for now, just based on the other players that are in front of him as things currently stand. But once again, if he made it as the sixth, wouldn't be shocked. Jalen Hawkins, DeMontre Jacobs, if you're going to keep another tackle, Lan Larison, the other rookie that Nick mentioned, the running back from UC Davis, and then I've got Marty Mapu as well, who, you know, he's kind of that safety linebacker hybrid. They've actually got him listed as a linebacker on the website now, but I just think he's got 4 players ahead of him, and he's unlikely to make the team. So they're my kind of may not. But yeah, that's kind of my 53-man roster.
No complaints.
Well, I pretty much agree. Yep.
So I think it's going to be interesting. I think there's a lot of the Patriots do need a lot of work. This is not a one. This is not a one-off season turnover. So, there's a lot of hard work to be done. And no offense to Belichick, but there's a lot of Belichick work to undo as well. Robert Kraft said it many a time. We have failed in the draft and we are paying for it now. So it's probably going to take a couple of years before, we can start getting some quality in depth, because it's all well and good having a great, first line. And people have said to me about how, the Patriots will probably have a top half of the league defense this year, maybe even top third. And that's probably might be true. Yeah, somewhere in that sort of 10 to 15, 10 to 16 range. Yeah, I'm probably with you. But the problem is we've got no depth. We've got no quality in depth. As soon as you leave those starters, you're struggling to maintain the quality that you're putting on the field. So it's going to take a few years to build that quality and depth up. And I just think my big thing is don't get ahead of yourself. Don't expect this to be a one-off season turnover. Mike Vrabel's just going to click his fingers and it's all going to work. There is still a lot of work to be done.
Yeah, I mean, going back to what you just said about the depth situation there as well, we need to be really careful and touch of wood that injuries will play a part in this team as well, because like you say, we have our key starters, but then after that, you don't really have anyone that's ready to step up into that starting position. So, you're not going to expect playoff position. I don't think. You might touch wild card if we're lucky, but I really do struggle with to even that, to be honest.
I think the depth is better than there was last year.
Like,
they've certainly padded out the roster a lot better, and there could still be players still to come. Yeah, I'm still pretty content with it. And yes, injuries could wreck things, but I still think that there's enough there to win 9 or 10 games with the schedule that we've got. I think, if it was a tougher schedule, I'd be a bit more pessimistic. But you look at the games we've got and you think, well, we are better than them on paper. And I think, as we said before, the coaching staff gives us an edge. Vrabel gives us an edge. I just think altogether we'll be more organised and more better drilled and prepared than we were. So yeah, I think I think there is reasons to be optimistic, but yeah, things are going to have to go well.
So is that your over/under line 9.5?
I think the official line is what 8.5 now. I think it went up on Vegas from 7 to 8.5. I when me and DJ did the podcast a few weeks ago, I had us at 10 and 7. I feel like 9 or 10 wins is plausible.
I think I had us at 9 and 8. And
yeah,
I think if you were setting it at 8.5, I'd be inclined to take. I'm going to take the over. I'm going to take the over on anything, and it's certainly anything lower than anything that's set at 7.5 or lower. I'm going to take the over. That 8.5, that's where I get a little bit sort of, this could be. This is, that 8.5 is probably the very first number I'd consider taking the under. But I just think we're around that 8-9 number. I don't think we're as high as 10. But it might be good enough for runner-up in the division. Miami haven't really, they were poor last year. They haven't really impressed me.
I think they're going to make a drop
this season. They haven't done a lot. The Jets are going to be interesting. How quick can they apply a new regime? And so, yeah, I mean, I think, yes, it's Buffalo win the division. It could be a wide open division for number two.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think we can push them. If we can finish with a winning record and flirt with the playoffs, I think that's acceptable, and I think that would be classed as a good season, especially after the last couple of years. But just going back to what you said, Nick, about obviously we're having to pay for bad drafts, and we need to rebuild over a couple of years. This is why I think it is mental that people are suggesting we give up a high draft pick for Terry McLaurin. On the Patriots Talk podcast this week, Phil Perry said he would give up next year's first-round pick for Terry McLaurin. Now, don't get me wrong. Terry McLaurin is a very good NFL receiver. and he's clearly going through a difficult time in Washington at the moment with his contract.
He's not turned up for camp.
He hasn't turned up for camp.
Tweeted now.
But do you really want to mortgage your future, your first round pick next year, when we need to continually add young ascending talent to the roster for a 30-year-old wide receiver who's going to command $30 million a year? I think
not my first. And third, maybe.
And if you get Terry McLaurin this year, how much of a difference does that make to your offense? Yes, you have another good receiver. Does he get you what? Does he get you as far as challenging Buffalo for the division? I don't think he does. I think you might get one extra win by having him, but I don't think there's enough incentive for us to give up a first-round pick. Even a second-round pick, I'll be reluctant. Because of the contract as well. But where I would go is I would flip a third to Cincinnati for Trey Hendrickson, because I think there's a lot more longevity in an edge rusher who's only 29, I think Hendrickson is.
Yeah, but I don't think you're going to get him for a third. I think he's going to cost you a second. I can't see the...
England have just scored in the 95th minute, by the way.
Yes. Hey. I was looking, but I know they were losing.
Michelle Ajimang has just scored.
Is that to draw?
Yeah.
Yeah. Goes to extra time now.
I can see him costing a second. I can't see the Bengals giving Hendrickson up for a third. Because remember, it's not like he hasn't got a contract at all. He's still got another year to run. So, all right, maybe you get to week 8-9 when it's when it's transfer deadline day, as we say. When we get to that sort of time. Yes, maybe then they consider the third, but I think probably right now he's going to cost you closer to a second. Going back to draft picks and what have you, it's one of those that if we are not going to qualify for a wild card position, and this falls under the tanking and not tanking sort of thing. I am not saying let's tank, but if we get to, week 16, week 17, and you're telling me we're not in for the wild card position, or we're not going to make a wild card, but if we lose these two games, rather than picking 16, we might end up picking 12, then that's a consideration. I don't know. Just to finish second in the division, I might happily finish third if it jumps me up a few spots in the draft. But obviously, if finishing second would guarantee you a wild card, then yes, you want a wild card spot. But if you're never getting a wild card spot, I'd much rather finish third and higher up the draft. But yeah, I wouldn't give up a first for McLaurin, and I probably wouldn't give up a second for Hendrickson.
Yeah, I think a third for both would be where I'd be at, and I think Hendrickson gives you more longevity because, like we see, edge rushers can be a lot more productive in their early 30s still, and I think if you got Hendrickson on a 3-year deal, he'd be a high producer throughout that time.
It's just Terry's contract.
How do you fit?
I think he would make more of a difference than McLaurin would. I think.
How do you fit Hendrickson into this roster? Because you've got Keon White,
and Landry, and then you probably lose Jennings.
And you've got Landry. Hendrickson's going to play, so one of those two is going to miss out.
Yeah, well, it's a
rotation between them. Rotation. Yeah,
Swinson and Chase are factoring in, and then you cut Anthony Jennings probably if you did that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think either of those outcomes are likely. I don't think Hendrickson or McLaurin's coming to us. Especially when you said as well, with the certain picks, and if we finish second in division, you're looking at probably late teens kind of draft pick. I actually watched CBS's really early mock draft of Mike Renner for next year. And there's a receiver at Washington called Denzel Boston, who's one of the top receivers in the draft next year. And just the idea of having Denzel Boston playing for the Patriots with a name Boston. I think that's got to happen, right?
What are we doing? Picking Grand National horses by what colour the jockey's wearing? Jeez, come on.
Boston in Boston. That would be great. Yeah, but the point I'm saying is that, you know, would you rather give up that high pick for Terry McLaurin to give you 2 seasons of production on a massive contract, or would you rather use that pick on a 21-year-old next year who could turn out to be a stud? Because we've already got Diggs over 30, Hollins over 30. I already said that I don't think we'll keep Bourne because of that reason. I don't think you're going to add another 30-year-old to the mix. They want young talent.
No, that's true. So, I believe the Patriots practices at the moment are open to the public. Is that right? I think for the first week. I think all this week they're certainly open to the public.
I think tomorrow is for sure. I don't know the other days. I think it's scattered around for the next week or so.
Yeah, we'll have to have a look. But yeah. Any other business, gents?
Can I
can think of.
Can I just say how much I absolutely love Jeremy Springer?
Jerry. Jerry Springer.
We spoke about Jeremy Springer before, his special teams coordinator, but he was, featured in Forged in Foxborough in episode 2, and he just seems like a coach that you would just love. Like I said in the group chat, it reminded me of someone I used to work with during my time at Ipswich. Someone who's just always got a smile on their face, absolutely loves the work they do, like buzzes off the nuances and the slightest things, and just someone who just like wants to make people feel good. Someone who's just like a ball of energy. Like, I just really like him. I think he seems like a proper sound coach.
Yeah, he did come across very like buzzing and energized player or coach. So yeah, like he said, at the end of the day, his main goal was to make someone smile. That made his day. That was it. But yeah, I was just checking the roster, the fixtures. We've got our first pre-game is a week on Friday.
Is it?
Yep, not our one, sorry, but it's the Hall of Fame game.
Yeah, because the Hall of Fame game's a week on Thursday.
Yeah, it starts on Friday
tomorrow
or Friday. Into Thursday. Sorry.
Yeah, Thursday night into Friday morning for us. Week away. Yeah, Hall of Fame game's a week away, and then all the other preseason games start.
I think we're the 7th, isn't it? Yeah, we play on the 7th.
Just when we were talking about like receivers a little while ago, like younger ones and trying to get better, you realise Isaiah Bond still hasn't been signed by an NFL team.
Yeah, because he's got that
legal proceedings going on, but I'm surprised that he's still not like latched on to someone as a UDFA. Like, this is a guy who was like a 3rd round talent, like was pretty good at Texas and Alabama. Yeah, that is mad.
Yeah. I think everyone's just waiting to see the outcome, and then
yeah. But if he gets cleared of all charges, and
he gets to choose where he wants to go,
there's going to be a huge scramble to try and get him signed, because he would have been drafted relatively high had he not been a naughty boy. I was just surprised that nobody took a punt on him by now, because as a UDFA, you can just cut them willy nilly. Surprised by that.
Yeah. Another news.
I'm just looking at these. I was just looking at these training camp dates. Training camp is open tomorrow, open Thursday, open Friday, open Saturday. There is no public training, no camp on Sunday, and then it's open Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday next week. So only this Sunday and next Friday are closed to the public. Otherwise, it is open to watch. So if you are listening to us, watching us, and you are Boston-based, then we are delighted to have you. Go on down. It's all good. I think Joe was really bad planning from Joe not to time his holiday while the training camp was on. You know, he could have sat there for a week. He could have sat there for a week and given us daily updates. You know, Joe, if you're listening, poor planning on your count. You know, it's all well going and watch to the Patriots Hall of Fame and everything else. Your training camp was a week later.
Yeah. I would love to go out there again. You know, it's been quite a few years since I last went. I think, 8 years this year since I went out there. And if I didn't have a big holiday to Japan coming up, I probably would have been going at some point soon. I know we've kind of loosely talked about a podcast trip over there, but it's kind of easier said than done, isn't it?
To Japan? I don't think we've talked about a podcast.
sorry, guys. I can't take you with me, but, you know, but to Boston. But, yeah. It would be great to get back out there again because it is spectacular.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Right. We will leave it there. Thank you to everyone who's watched us. Thank you to everyone who's listened to us. Like I said, smash the like button. Get in touch with us on social media. Thank you very much to DJ. Thank you very much to Kieran. I guess we will see you again next week. I think Carl's back in the hosting chair next week. So we will see you then. We will have a week of training camp behind us, and we will probably know about as much as we do now. So to everybody, have a good week. We will see you soon. To you guys, enjoy yourselves. I'll be in touch. Everybody have fun.
Yep.